My name is Daniel, and I have a friend that I've known for decades. He's a good guy. He's honest. He's hardworking. He's selfless. He cares about justice. A sort of person who has qualities that would make you proud to call them a friend. He's moved away from the area, but he was back in a visit the other day, and we were having a beer. And as we talked, I was shocked to learn that he considered Trump uh, the lesser of two evils, marginally preferable to Harris in this upcoming election. After some discussion, I asked whether or not he thought that Donald Trump was genuinely sacrificing something of himself to benefit the country. And when my friend answered yes, I have to admit, I simply said, wow. And my friend very, very sincerely said, but is it really wow? And he proceeded to further his case. Now, I have a lot of reasons Trump won't get my vote. A lot. But even if I chose to agree with my friend and all of his reasons, I still wouldn't vote for him. And I wouldn't vote for him because of one objective, undeniable fact. I won't vote for him because of that. Neither should my friend, and neither should any other person who calls himself an American. Now, before we get to that, this has nothing to do with my opinion. If you possess access to the public record like I do, if you care about American democracy, you're acting against your interests in giving your precious vote to Trump. It's not how I feel. It's not in any way distinguishable by the fact that it's what I think. It has nothing to do with where I live, religion, political party, what brand of beer I drink, or the music I listen to. It doesn't matter for you either. This applies to you. It's not something that is subject to a he said, she said. There's no whataboutism. There's no yeah, but there's no both sides. This is not something that we can agree to disagree on. Because what we talked about next is all you need to know about why you can either vote for Trump or you can vote for democracy, not both. So here's the facts. It's a fact that Trump said that if he lost, it's because the other side cheated. He's been saying this forever. Back when The Apprentice never won an Emmy, he said, Emmys are all politics. That was the reason he didn't win. In 2012, he labeled then President Barack Obama's reelection a total sham, quote unquote. He said there are reports of voting machines switching Romney votes to Obama. Don't know where those reports came from. He said, pay close attention to the machines. Don't let your vote be stolen. In 2016, during the GOP primaries, Iowa and Colorado, he lost to Cruz. And Trump said, Ted Cruz didn't win Iowa. He stole it. That's why all the polls were so wrong and why he got far more votes than anticipated. Bad. Okay, Cruz, for his part, came back and said, Donald, it ain't stealing when the voters vote against you. It's the voters reclaiming the country and reclaiming sanity. Now, I'll leave that there, be that as it may with Ted Cruz. But Trump later said that the Colorado caucuses were similarly rigged, and he dismissed Hillary Clinton's victory over Bernie Sanders in the Democratic primary. And then in 2016, he lost the popular vote, right? It was the Electoral College that got him in. Now, what he said to that was, I won the popular vote if you deduct the millions of people who voted illegally. He said this, of course, without any proof. And then he went so far as president to empower a presidential advisory commission on election integrity. Of course, they didn't find any evidence, and he disbanded it before it would have to produce evidence or concede that none existed. Now, if you're president and you know that there is a broken electoral system, enough so that you put together this commission on election integrity because you won despite the fact that there was election interference, you don't then just disempanel it and move on. But anyway, we can call that an opinion. He went on to allege fraud in the 2018 midterms. He said, quote, just out in Arizona, signatures don't match. Electoral corruption. Call for a new election. We must protect our democracy, unquote. Then in August of 2020, he said, the only way we're going to lose this election is if the election is rigged. Right? Bannon, Roger Stone, they're both on record saying that Trump will claim victory regardless as an intentional strategy. Trump's had an advisor, Tom Fitton, who runs Judicial Watch. He emailed the White House twice before the election and proposed that Trump say, we had an election today and I won. He also said that he discussed that with Trump. Vice President Pence, his chief of staff, said that Trump planned to prematurely announce that he won. Now, because of Trump's claims, there were audits and recounts, right? Georgia had 2 statewide recounts. One was a hand recount. Way to go, Georgia. Good tax dollars being spent. And the results of that were, get this, 99.965% accurate to the original results. The state of Michigan affirmed their results after audits and recounts. Wisconsin recounted 2 counties that actually increased Biden's margin. Bill Barr, Trump's attorney general, said no irregularities. Trump's own appointee for election security and the Department of Homeland Security said that it was the most secure in American history. Of course, then Trump fired it. Fox News, Murdoch settled for $750 million. If there were evidence, don't you think Murdoch would have not settled for $750 million? Okay, now let's look at Trump's legal team. Giuliani is disbarred. He's financially ruined. Jenna Ellis has been censured for engaging in dishonesty, fraud, and deceit. He took a plea deal, admitted to the misrepresentations. Kenneth Chesborough, another plea deal. James Troops, he settled out of court. John Eastman is sanctioned and he's facing disbarment. Christina Bobb is facing charges. Jeffrey Clark, criminally charged, facing suspension. Sidney Powell, plea deal, criminal charges. Alina Habba, multiple sanctions. And she and Trump are both on the hook for $1 million to Hillary Clinton and her campaign for the lies. Ray Smith, Robert Cheeley, all indicted by Georgia. These are Trump's lawyers, and their careers are, in some cases, careers and lives are completely ruined. So let's look at the court cases, right? There were over 60 court cases where there was no fraud revealed. Now, this is where we get back to my conversation with my friend. He thought that because there were so many of those cases that were dismissed on procedural grounds, that it leaves open the claim that people failed to see all the evidence, right? Because of that, it's reasonable to conclude there's enough doubt in the outcome. It's an effective excuse for those who want to say that it was rigged. Okay, so this is where he and I left it. It's one thing to say things over beer with a friend. It's another to insist they're wrong, unless I'm in a position to be able to speak to the facts without ambiguity. So I said I'd take a closer look, and I did. And so here are the facts. In at least 60 of those cases, 50 of them lack standing. That doesn't mean that somebody decided not to hear them despite the fact that they were credible claims. It's because they failed to meet the minimum threshold necessary to be able to distinguish their claims from just simply an intent to undermine confidence in the election results. There was one lone exception. A Pennsylvania judge ruled that voters had 3 days after the election to provide proper ID and cure their ballots. Of course, that had absolutely no effect whatsoever and did not reveal anything to do with voter fraud. On top of that, there were independent experts, governors, state election officials, plenty of Republicans amidst them saying that there was no evidence of widespread fraud. A bunch of them were withdrawn as well by the Trump team across multiple states, including those that had judges that Trump himself had appointed. Okay, so the Republicans did not provide evidence to back up their assertions. It was just speculation, rumors, and hearsay. Right? And this is the record, the public record. I'm not making anything up. None of this is debatable. So let's look at the cases where the minimum threshold was accepted and evidence was heard during a trial. Right? Wisconsin, Wisconsin twice. Michigan twice. Arizona twice. In many cases up to the state Supreme Court and some the American Supreme Court. There was Nevada, it was Pennsylvania, North Dakota. Those are 10 cases where all the evidence they had was heard. And in none of the cases, including Trump-appointed judges in red states, none of the cases prevailed, right? So here is why, especially if you call yourself a patriot, you cannot give your vote to Trump. Like I said, I got plenty of reasons to not vote for Trump, but all anyone needs is this one. Trump knows he lost, and he's willing to undermine American democracy for his ambition and throw us under the bus for his personal gain. America had achieved, for the first time in the history of civilization, a democracy that for 250 years had a peaceful transfer of power. We had free and fair elections. The evidence is beyond credible challenge. Anyone who challenges this evidence at this point it's Jewish space laser shit, right? He did not win, and he knows it. And let's just say for a second that he doesn't know it. He genuinely believes it. Then he lacks the ability to comprehend facts. This is not rocket science. This is obvious stuff. He's either untethered from reality or he's but stupid, right? Which neither of those things are probably the case, though it can be argued. This is not the guy you want with the nuclear football. He is literally lying about winning in 2020. Such a man cannot lead the world's most powerful democracy. And if, despite this, it is believed by anyone that they should give him their vote, even though he did it, what they're saying is, you have to destroy democracy to save democracy. And that just means that there's something wrong with you. That Donald Trump is willing to undermine American democracy so that he can win again. To work against American democracy, even if you think you have an excuse for it, I'm sorry, that's treasonous. And if you're going to vote for somebody who's doing it, then you don't get to call yourself a patriot, not and be believed by any serious person or any person with two brain cells to rub together.